Where you want to start at?
Okay, you so greatest player between Shaq and Wilt,
Yeah,
right?
greater player. Greater
Greater
player. Yeah.
player. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So well, I actually forgot how we even walked into this one. Oh well, my bad. I forgot. I do remember. My host here don't respect the '60s, so Will don't get too much love in your book. But look, the floor is yours, my brother. If you want to roll with it, you want to roll with it
okay.
first, or
I'll roll with it.
all right, there you go.
All right.
Boom.
So cool. Uh, basically, when we're saying if you picking Wilt over Shaq, we going based on numbers, right? But
Mhm.
let's let's think about this for a second. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Go.
It's not rhetorical. I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me which is greater, right? All right. So you playing a game of 12, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
One player scores 6 points, right? You're looking at is it the same as if you're playing another team is playing a game to 20 and somebody scores 6 points? Is that equal? Like both of them scored 6 points. One was a game to 12. One was a game to 20. Is that the same thing to you, or is that equal? Like, how we looking at this?
And you saw one on one.
No, not one on one. This team ball. We playing Paul ball, right?
Uh huh.
We
One
going
game
we
to
going to
20.
the one game to 20, right?
Uh huh.
There's another game. It goes to 12. Both times
Mhm.
they have a particular player on the team. They score 6 points. Who you looking like there was better? Or are 6 points is 6 points?
In that type of game, yeah, I would think 6 points is 6 points, right? Why would it be different?
What? Well, obviously not, because 6 points in one is that's half the points that's available.
Okay.
The other on the other one, there's still 14 points. You don't even know what the other people on the team scored. You might have had somebody who scored 8 points or 10 points or whatever like that. But you don't know. I'm just saying, like in this particular situation, you can't just say 6 points is 6 points, right? So
Okay.
like let's put Wilt in the context, right?
Uh huh.
So if we're going by pace, in Wilt's prime, where Wilt was putting up these crazy numbers, it was 100 and each team basically took an average of 105 shots a game. All right.
Mhm.
When you mess around and you go to Shaq's prime, players were taking or teams were taking an average of, I want to say it was like 84 shots a game, right? So a difference of 30 shots. Now, in addition to this, there was the rebounds were different as well. So the available rebounds, I'm trying to help you out. Let me help you out. The available rebounds, right? And maybe I might be going too fast for you. So if
Easy.
you shoot, if
Easy.
you shoot, if you shoot and make it, right? Is there a rebound available?
No.
Okay. If you shoot and miss, there's a rebound available, right?
Uh huh.
Okay. So shit, my bad. Based on available rebounds, Wilt had 77 available rebounds per game, right? Shaq
Mhm.
had 40. There's no way they're gonna be on the same level as far as rebounding the ball. It's not. It's not. It's not really possible. All right. Now, if you go back to the centers in Wilt era, most of them got 20. This was average. Like Wilt is still a great scorer. Wilt is still a great rebounder. I'm not taking that away from him. All I'm saying is the only thing that you're looking at from Wilt on how great he is, you're looking at his numbers. When I'm looking at Shaq, I'm looking at success. All right. So Shaq in his prime, he gave you 3 championships in a row. Wilt in his prime gave you one. He gave you a second championship. I don't want to say when he was over the hill, but he gave you a second championship in his twilight years. Shaq gave you a fourth championship in his twilight years. So when I'm looking at them, all things even, Shaq did more with what he had versus Wilt. Wilt was a product of his era. You know, in the 2000s, that Wilt would not have averaged 50. Wilt would not have averaged 30. Wilt would not have gotten 20 rebounds a game. We know this, but this is a product of Wilt's era, based on his numbers, based on a play, based on a pace of play, and if we adjust his numbers to the same pace that Shaq was at, he was not getting it like that. He was not going to get the numbers that he got in the '60s as in the 2000s because we comparing him to Shaq. That's it. I'm gonna
So
let you go.
why do we even rank the '60s players if you feel like, oh, they're a product of their system, they're a product of the time they play?
Rhetorical, or are you're asking?
I'm actually curious on if you feel like,
So
excuse me on the background noise, but I'm just curious. You can still hear me over it?
yeah.
All right. So I'm just trying to figure out. And this, I'm gonna get to my take on it, but I'm just curious. Do you even rank Wilt Chamberlain when you try to sit there and say anything? Because you kind of dismissed everything that Wilt was great about because he was a product of his time.
No, so I still rank Wilt Chamberlain. All right. I just have to take Wilt into context when I'm ranking. I can't say that Wilt, who had 30, like the pace of play, which what it was, the stats was so out of hand in that era
Hmm.
to where now we compare Wilt stats to Shaq stats, and those stats are not going to equate because basically if we're looking at it, like it's almost the way
It
the production that they got would be almost if uh Shaq and them went into 4 overtimes every single game. Like it's
all right.
the
Wait.
production is not the same because it's a slower play.
I don't want you to take up too much time. So look, another question: is the '60s the highest paced ever? Like that's the highest scoring ever, even including now?
The pace of play or the scoring.
Scoring.
I think I think the '60s is the highest scoring era. Right
All
now
right.
is
All right.
one of the highest scoring era as well. Like they kind of
I
getting
know
up
it's
to
in
the
the area.
'60s, but
I know it's in the area. So look,
yeah.
let me go. All right. So look, check it out. You cannot dismiss numbers when we talk about the game of basketball. Will came in the game, and his rookie season is higher than anybody regular season except probably Rick Barry, I think. You could call that the pace of play, but please go and show me the 60 players who was averaging over 30. Because all you're gonna do is show me all time greats. You're gonna show me Elgin Baylor. You're gonna show me uh who you gonna show me? My bad. You're gonna show me Elgin Baylor, you're gonna show me Jerry West. And that's pretty much it. Rick Barry maybe. But all these dudes average above 30 and Wilt pretty much ran circles around them. I think we overlook how hard it is to put up those type of numbers. And I know I think the one of the biggest problem is people put personality into it. Like Wilt wanted to come out and score uh 50 points using his left hand, showboat shit like that. I think that rubs people the wrong way. But I could sum this all up in one take. Wilt actually has an argument to be the GOAT. That's not a debate. Even if he have a 0.1 chance to be the GOAT, he does have that. He does have that argument. Shaq does not. Shaq had a 3-year span that we trying to glorify, and he deserves love. But we don't even talk about Shaq in Orlando days, which he does deserve credit for. We just talk about 2003 is the most dominant player. He brought you championships. But if you think about it, that was his highlight. That was Shaq for that time. Wilt had a decade belonging to him. You might say I'm sorry, Bill Russell was the most accomplished, but Wilt Chamberlain was hands down the best player in the '60s. And yes, he didn't win championships, but let's not act like Shaq was showering in championships too. He had his flaws too in his era, and his era started in the late '90s. So I'm not gonna sit there and say, "Oh, Shaq 3 years is more credible than what Wilt put up." Wilt nickname is the historic book, not the record book, and you could dismiss who he played with, but again, nobody else put up those numbers. No one close to it. We talking guard play, the second best center that never averaged above 20 in the '60s. So why, if the era was so easy, what the other 30-point score at? I get the rebounds. If you want to say rebounds, that's fine. But I'm not gonna act like Shaq was the greatest rebounder in the world. Shaq got a few rebounding titles, but Shaq wasn't the greatest rebounder. So I'm not gonna act like, oh, rebounds the reason I edge him. I edge him because what Wilt contributed to the game of basketball. And you can, if Shaq was the most dominant player in the world, then why? Well, he had one season that he averaged 30, maybe two. I mean, again, that sums it all up. We talking about a 3-year career I'm sorry, a 3-year span versus a career, and you saying, oh, Shaq won championships. All right, who was Kobe Bryant on Wilt Chamberlain teams? Hal Greer, cool. I don't think nobody would compare him to a young Kobe Bryant. But yeah, like I said, I think my strongest argument, which I think I seen it in your face that you was like, damn, that's a good point. Will got an argument to be the GOAT. As far as Shaq, look, I ain't trying to hurt nobody's feelings when I say this, but I was actually playing around my top 10 players of all time. Shaq is actually a debatable top 10, man. Wilt ain't even a question. I'll let you rebuttal.
All right, so you said so I'm just trying to understand your argument. You are arguing Wilt versus the players in the '60s, or you're arguing Wilt versus like time? Because I do have Wilt as one of the greatest players ever. I do have Wilt top 10, and I don't have all the players in the '60s in the top 10. So I'm wondering like
You have two.
what's your art, because you could, okay, so I'm saying I do have Wilt in my top 10, but I'm saying were you arguing Wilt versus the '60s? Like, are you arguing how Wilt was versus the '60s versus how good Shaq was versus 2000? Is that your
No,
argument?
I'll walk you through it. So I'm gonna start with the Will comment. The Will comment was, "Am I arguing Will versus the '60s?" That's a rebuttal to when you claiming Wilt numbers are a product of his era. That's a great argument, but please let me know who's the second person in the '60s who was putting up the 38 points a game. I said I give you Elgin, I give you Jerry West, and I give you I'm sorry, who's the other one? Rick Barry. I know Rick Barry's not the '60s, so scratch that. So Jerry West and Elgin Bell is the only two who could say they put up those type of numbers, and Will still ran circles around their numbers. And as far as Shaq goes, and I love Shaq, but we're actually talking about a quote unquote most dominant player in the game, but he averaged 30. So like I don't see where the
So
comparison at. There is
so
no
wait,
comparison.
okay. So okay, again, this is the argument that you just laid out was you laid out Wilt versus the 60s. What I'm saying is, I'm not taking away that Wilt was a dominant player. I'm not taking that away from him. Wilt is a top 10 player of all
Oh,
time.
it's just strictly
That is
Wilt
not
versus Shaq. Wilt versus Shaq.
right. So
Stick with
so
it.
this
We can
is
stay Wilt
so
versus Shaq.
so that's so but I'm just saying, Wilt is a top 10 player of all time. So what I'm saying is, if you take a top 10 player of all time and you give them that amount of chances, their scoring is going to go up. So no matter who you put back there, I'm not saying that anybody else would average 50. That's not what I'm saying. That's not my contention. What I'm saying is,
Take,
if
take
you
away
take
50. Go
it,
with 35.
if 35, yes, like Shaq, when we talking about scores, Shaq is averaging over 35. Mike, uh, KD, uh,
If
like,
Shaq is the most dominant player in the game, he averaged 30, not above 32. And that's the point I'm trying to tell you. Like, okay, he's dominant.
so wait, you say, so wait, no, no,
Wait.
so
Here's the best part. Wait, here's the best part. Shaq wasn't even in the quote unquote era of the centers when he was quote unquote most dominant. He was in the era of the power forwards. So if you think about that, who was he going against? Dikembe Mutombo, Keith Van Horn. So why he couldn't average above 30, 35 free throws?
got a blender on in the background. Can you hear me?
Oh, you got a blender?
I got a blender on in the background. Can you hear me?
Oh, me too.
All right, so if you can hear me, I'm a rope. But all right, so you like Shaq didn't win a scoring title in the '90s because of Jordan. Like, so
What about
Shaq,
two
so wait,
thousands?
wait, wait. So wait, no, I'm just saying he didn't win. You was talking about why he didn't average 30. So I'm saying when it comes down to Shaq, Shaq had 30 less attempts, or let's let's reel that back in. Wilt took 25% of his team's attempts. Like when Wilt averaged 50, Wilt took 40 shots a game. Look, we was pissed off at James Harden for the amount of free throws that he took, right?
Hmm.
James Harden averaged 11. Wilt
Okay,
averaged 13. Wilt averaged 13 for a decade. When Wilt, so
that
wait,
that
wait,
was
wait, wait,
attack.
wait.
Wait.
So,
But I'm gonna let you finish it. But I do want to bring attention
mhm.
because I won't put too much light on it. There was a difference between Will getting fouled and James Harden getting fouled. Me and you both know that. Will
So
getting
no,
fouled
no.
to
So
reduce his
so
points.
again, but I'm saying this is the amount of attempts that he had. So in a season he averaged 50, right? He took 40 shots a game, right? He took
Mm-hmm.
17 free throws a game.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We can put Shaq's 2 seasons together and he would be close to that. Because when you have one of the top tier like I don't want to say one of the top tier shooters, one of the most aggressive players in the game, they're going to average around 20 shots. Like anytime somebody gets to around 23, that's when people they really questioning like, is this person a ball hog? Like being real 100% honest with you. Wilt didn't start winning until his shots came down. All right, but what we focused on is we're focused on we're focused on the stats and the
Who's a better
stats are
player?
no, but I'm saying that's your argument. Your argument is Wilt was a better player because of the stats that he put up, correct? Is that
All I
not your
could do,
argument? No, I'm
but
saying, is
that
that not your argument? Okay,
yes.
okay. So what I'm saying is the stats were available for Wilt. It's very hard for somebody to take 40 shots a game if there's only 80 shots available for your team, right? When Wilt took 40 shots a game, his team averaged 110 shots a game. Now this is 40 shots a game plus 17 free throws, right? So
Uh-huh.
what I'm saying is you can't if there's 80 shots and you take 40 of them, there's still like at least 8 people in a rotation. At least. You feel me? Because I'm not saying that everybody playing, but there's at least 8 people in a rotation. So we're gonna split 40. We're gonna split another 40 shots among basically having 7 people. So what that's an average of 6 shots a game for everybody else. You feel me? So I'm really saying this because like we have to understand pace when it comes down to this. Like pace at 110 shots a game, you have more opportunities than somebody else. And when Wilt is the bulk of his team's opportunities, he's going to get those opportunities. That's just what it is. So I'm saying
But he came through.
you can't, but I'm saying, can you take Wilt and put him in the 2000s and he'll give you that much production? Like if we flip flop Wilt and
I have
Shaq,
no reason to not believe that.
well, it's math. That's that's the reason you have to believe that. Math doesn't support what
So
your
what are you
argument.
averaging? What are you averaging? What are you averaging?
If I'm going just based on mathematics, it's not going to be. It's definitely not going to be that. It's
Oh,
going to be
what are you
probably
averaging?
around. I'm okay. You want me to do a math equation
I'm
based
just
on
I'm just
that?
curious.
So I'm saying
I'm
for
just curious.
I'm saying
You're
so
saying
so
you
wait so
a
wait
50.
so wait
Wait,
so
wait.
wait so wait. Let me
I want to be
so no
clear.
I'm
I want to
so
be
no
clear what I'm looking
no
for.
wait oh
I
no
want to be
what
clear what I'm looking for. I want to be clear what I'm
right
looking for. I'm trying to say, okay, we got a guy who averaged 50, 37, 35. I'm just curious. You take that player and put him in. You said the 2000s. The 2000s, as far as centers, was Shaq, Yao Ming. But please let me know what Will averaging. Even and let me know what the math says. He averaged what 27?
all right, give me a second. I'm gonna work out the math because we saying that Wilt took 40% of his team shots on something, or and 40% of the team shots in the 2000s was what 30 shots, something like that. He's 15. He's about 50%. He's averaging what roughly 30, something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, that's 30 on his 50-point season, right? So he's not going to average 30 his entire career. He might we gonna lower them free throws. He might get 37. He might be like the greatest scoring center of all time, and we're not taking that away from him. But
Wait, you
are
wait.
we looking
You,
are we looking for that? Or are we looking for championships?
all
No,
right,
I'm
so
saying,
let me ask
do
you
we
this.
do what do we
I,
want? Do we want the greatest scoring center of all time, or do we want championships? What do you value more?
if I'm being honest with you, last time I ranked my centers, I went for greatest center. I didn't go for
No,
championship.
no, no.
You go for championships. You know where you're going with that.
Okay, okay.
You know what you're going with that.
So I'm
So
just
look,
saying. So that is based on what me and you value. I value. My values are different than yours. I value. I
but all
don't
right.
value. I don't
So
value
look,
stats as much as um.
I'm curious to know. I'm curious to know. So when you say we're putting Wilt into the 2000s, and he's taking all these shots, he's that guy. I'm curious to know who's the Boston Celtics. So it's the Spurs, because he was better defensively than Shaq, arguably better offensively. You already, matter of fact,
How do,
from
but I'm
from from the stats, he's gonna punish Shaq.
no. I'm saying so. We could possibly give him that. We could possibly say that he was better defensively. We don't know. We don't know. We don't really. I'm saying we don't
Look.
really know. So okay.
I
So I'm
know
I'm gonna
Shaq.
let you talk and then I'm gonna finish.
I just know Shaq wasn't nobody to marvel over when it came to defense. We like when we name top defender of all time, Shaq is definitely bottom five if he makes the top 10. Let's not act like Shaq. We know for a fact Wilt is definitely a top 10.
So wait. We gon' we gonna say Wilt is the most unstoppable force of basketball history.
Never
Wilt
said that.
is so wait. Okay, are we not saying that?
All right, you know what?
Are we not saying that?
I'm not. I'm definitely not.
Okay, okay. Well, how you
I'm saying
so
straight
as
up.
far
I'm saying Wilt better than Shaq.
that's not the question. What I'm saying is what you actually just said, right? Or this is how you prefaced it. Um, you basically putting it on a level where Wilt is or I'm gonna say you insinuated because you want to be technical and say I didn't say it. You insinuating Wilt is the most unstoppable force in basketball history.
How?
Wilt is one of a top five scorer of all time. All right. Wilt is a top five defender of all time. But at the same time, he has he has two chips, all right, with one of the NBA finals that he actually went to, his teammate got finals MVP on a losing team because his effort was so Herculean. So what are we really saying about Will Chamberlain? Because if you're that good to where you have your teammate that did such a great job to get finals MVP, you feel me, on a losing team, did you just not show up?
So let me ask you this: Are we talking about you talking about Shaq in Miami, right?
You say talking
Right?
about Shaq in Miami. What about him?
Because
What
that's the
about him?
same goddamn story. Same goddamn story. Like
What you
okay,
mean?
and Shaq wasn't that amazing in '06. Uh,
I never said that he
uh,
was. I
I'm
never
just
said that
saying.
he
All right,
was.
look,
That was him
look,
on his way out.
eh,
That was him
just
on
like
his way
Will,
out.
just like Will, just like
I'm
Will.
saying that's three championships later. This is a sport championship, not a second.
Will wasn't winning championships. Like he one of the best teams
Right.
of all
So
time.
what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, in his prime, in his prime, that's not the only
You
team
all
that
right?
eliminated
Look,
him.
all right. Hold on,
But
hold
but
on,
in
hold
his
on.
but
We
in
we
his
we
prime,
get we getting close to we getting close to the time. I just want to do this question, and then you had your closing argument. I give my closing argument. You wanted to put Wilt in the 2000s, right? What's Shaq doing in the 60s? And when
which
I'm talking about with the same team Wilt had.
with the same team Will had,
Yeah.
um, he definitely has more championships than one. Like
All
I
right.
didn't.
Get your closing arguments, bro. Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
Get your
All right.
closing arguments,
So,
bro.
so obviously we have two different value systems, but when it comes down to comparing the 60s versus the modern era, we have to take into account pace because once we look at the 60s, all the numbers all over the place are ridiculous. They're not they're not real. I don't want to say that. Yeah, they're not realistic numbers when it comes down to looking at the 60s. If we look at the stars in the 60s, like their numbers are gaudy, and the reason why is because they had way more possessions than the players do now. And if we equalize those possessions, then those players won't seem so far away and ahead of everybody else. So that's all I'm saying.
All right. You- So we agree. We probably value something a little bit different. I'm looking at Wilt like he's definitely the most dominant and best player in the '60s. You don't have to win the most championships to be the best and dominant player. Wilt showed that. I'm looking at Wilt like if somebody say Wilt is the GOAT, if somebody literally just walk up to you and say Wilt is the best player who ever touched the ball, there's really no argument there. If somebody say Shaq the best player who ever touched the ball, you know what they're gonna say? They're gonna switch up the argument and say, oh, he probably the most dominant. Wanna know why? Because Shaq was good in Orlando. Shaq prime was in the Lakers and for 3 years. He got out of shape. He started ring chasing. That's Shaq career.
I want to add to this.
Huh?
This. I say I want
Okay.
to
All
add
right.
to this just for the
All right.
just for the fact that the I guess we really take Shaq out of context in Orlando. I want to say in what it was 90. Shaq was drafted in 92. They they got to the playoffs in I want to say it was 94. They went to the NBA finals in 95. In 96 they won like 60 games or something like that. Then he went to the Lakers and either at least
He
97
was
or 98 they won another 60 games. Like
he was
he
damn near
was
averaging
I'm saying
30.
but I'm saying at Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
At Orlando. So I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
before the Shaq who we just look at as the dominant player, like Shaq was already dominant. They just had people that was in the NBA that were dominant. So it's like
Okay.
he came. No, I'm saying he came into a domain where they already have dominant players there. It usually takes people a couple years in order to get like amongst those players. But Shaq came on the
Look,
scene like absent Michael Jordan and absent Dream. Shaq was the best player in the NBA probably year 2 or 3. Absent
do your
and
homework,
we can
man. Wilt was the
and look
best player for a decade.
we can say that Wilt was the best player day one. We can't say that. We can say Wilt was the best player day one. We can
Give it.
say that.
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah.
So I'm not even that's not my debate. What I'm saying is if all the things that we think about Wilt, if all those things are true, why didn't he win more? That's my real question when it comes down to Wilt.
That
When
part.
people say,
That
you
part is the
know what I'm saying,
team
when
thing.
people so look, when people say Wilt
You
is the
not about
GOAT,
to wait.
so
Hold up.
no,
We ran this. Wait. Hold up. You've been running this too long. I give you your time.
I,
You're not about to run this
hey,
and
look,
say wait. Listen, what I'm about to
go
tell
ahead.
you. You running that. You running that whole. Oh, Wilt didn't win more. But then when we run it and go into the next, not the next guy, but eventually we'll get to a conversation about another player. And if I say why he didn't win more, you're gonna start blaming other things. So we're not gonna keep saying, oh, he didn't win more. The championship's a team accomplishment. Will does get knocked for having a soft playoff resume. Soft playoff resume. I give you that. But Shaq playoff resume, it does depend on a lot on other people's, just like Bill Russell's. So this is why I don't give him that much respect when it comes to that.
Yeah, I don't get where you're going at with the one guy, but I do want to say this: if somebody just rebutting that GOAT part, if somebody says that Wilt is the GOAT, they're looking at numbers. They don't put no context to it. They just looking at the numbers and they like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, how is that even
Do
possible? And
Shaq have
they don't
any
go.
argument to go? Do Shaq have any one argument to go? If I say Shaq the GOAT, you probably laugh.
No, I wouldn't laugh, but at the same time, I've seen Shaq play. I didn't see Wilt play. I have to go and look and put context into Wilt's argument. So if we don't care about context at all, we don't care about context at all, then Wilt has the best numbers
You
ever
can't. You not.
because
You not.
because
You
we
not
don't
nine
because we
years
don't because
old.
I'm saying no, but I'm saying because we don't care if somebody scored 6 points in a 12-point game versus 6 points in a 100-point game because 6 points is 6 points. We don't care. So if we don't
You
want to put
just said we
context
would
to it,
average
it is what it is.
37 in Shaq era. Look,
Okay.
we look. All right, we good. We
And did he
good. We
win a
good. We good.
championship?
We
Okay.
good. We good. Yeah. All right. All right. I like that. We gotta let but I we'll let the people decide. We'll let the people judge on that one. Now, I give you do some good points in there, but I think he's got stumped. My bad. Let's see. All right. All right. So